we're recording. So over to you, Sarah.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. It's so good to see everybody. I love it when I see the familiar faces. It's so good to see you guys and some new people as well. So hello to all of you. I am Sarah. I am a designer for Beadalon. And of course, Yvette is here in the chat as well. She can answer all of your product questions for you. And we have Miss Felicia, like she said here as well. So we've got a great team. Looking forward to a fun project today. So I've got a project that I'm hoping will inspire you to look at pre-made components that you can buy at Michael's in a whole new way. I feel like a lot of times people look at the particularly, like not to make anybody feel a certain way or anything, but I feel like a lot of times advanced jewelry makers in particular will look at pre-made components and maybe just walk right by them because they feel like they are too advanced for a lot of those components that are just very easily put together to create jewelry. What I'm hoping is that I can kind of get you out of that mindset, whether you are a beginner, whether you are intermediate, whether you are advanced, that you'll take a second and look at what the pre-made components are and try to think of ways to look at them outside of their normal capacity, right? And see what is possible to attach to them, things that you can attach to them and make them more personalized and make them more unique so that you feel like you don't have the same jewelry as everybody else. And that's what I'm hoping for today. We've got the components for the class. I just want to mention this right at the top of the class before we get into it, because there was a little bit of confusion. The component that I'm actually using is currently at the moment sold out on the website, but I've got an alternative to show you. And more than anything, I want you to kind of focus on the technique and what we're doing as opposed to the component in particular. So if you weren't able to grab this one before it was sold out, I've got an alternative for you that is going to look a little bit different, but it's definitely going to work in the same way. And there are many others in the Michael's or on the Michael's website and in the store as well. So, all right, let's get started. I'm going to turn you around. We are going to, well, I am going to turn you around. I just hit the wrong button. Sorry. I'm going to turn you around and we are going to get started. So let's take a look at the original component that was in the project, and that's the one I'm going to use, but I'm going to show you an alternative as well. So the one that I got for this project came on a card. This was a Creations by Bead Landing, and it came on a card that had 3 little components here. And I think the idea behind these was that you could either make individual pieces with these, or you could make 3 necklaces or 3 designs and stack them up, which is really, really cool. But I kind of looked at it and saw all of the filigree and all of the holes that were here, and I saw an opportunity to add more than just dangles to this, but like to actually use our very thin beading or our thin German style wire to actually kind of sew some beads onto this. And so that's what we're going to do. If you were not able to grab this one though, the alternative is this, which I have a couple of these in my stash, and you're going to be able to use this in the exact same way. Now, does it look the same? No, but the technique can be the same. There is so much filigree work here and so much open space that you literally could use this as the alternative, either the big one or one of the smaller ones here, and do the exact same things. The steps might be a little bit different. Where you're going to connect your wire might be a little bit different, but you still have the perfect opportunity to personalize this. So what's cool is that there are a lot of options, right? You don't have to make the exact one that I make, but I hope that you are inspired to look at all of the components in a new way. So this is the component that I'm going to use. It's this really pretty crescent shape. I have the silver and I have it in this brassy color. I'm going to show you the brassy color has some wire going through it, and that's going to be kind of our pattern. So this is without the beads. I'll break that down for you here in just a few minutes. Let's talk about some of the other things. So I'm using some beads. I've already sorted out my beads, but those of you who have taken classes with me before know that I absolutely love the beads that are 4 different sizes that hang on the cards. This one, I'm using the 2 smaller sizes, so they've been cut off, but originally this was a 4-strand card. I love these. I feel like they are a great way to build up your stash without spending a whole lot of money. You've got plenty of beads and 4 different sizes to choose from. So, you know, you can get a ton of projects out of 1 card of beads, which is awesome. Also using some of these really tiny ones. These are the ones that we're going to be attaching to our component, and then using the others as some some other accents, but these little baby beads right here, I believe these are 3 millimeters. I love these. And they do come in a couple of different colors. Michael's has these 3 millimeter ones. I love to have a 3 millimeter faceted bead on hand at all times, just because you can use them the way I'm going to show you how. They make great little spacer beads, but they also are great for attaching to components. Also going to need some of these teardrops. These two come in a lot of different colors. You just want to snip your teardrop off and take the bead cap off of it. We're going to use those, or you can use those rather, for other projects. And then we've got some bead caps here. These also came on a card, but I have since lost the card because I use a lot of these little bead caps. These are super fun because you can use these to cap your beads, but you can also stack them up. We're going to kind of do that with part of our project, because we're making not just the necklace, but we're making the earrings that go with it as well. So this is definitely kind of a two-parter. And then last but not least are these are like bail beads. And it's a large hole bead that you can thread over a large variety of stringing materials. And then you've got this loop here, which is essentially a bail so that you can hang other things from it. So we're going to use this in our design today as well. And of course you get a bunch of these, so you can use these for a lot of different projects, and they accommodate a really large variety of bead stringing sizes. All right, then you're just going to need your findings. You're going to need some jump rings, some head pins, some eye pins, all of those goodies, of course, and some chain. All right, the wire for our project is 26 gauge. I'm using German style wire, 26 gauge. This is a pretty tiny wire. You can also use artistic wire for this as well if you want to, but you're going to need a really small, thin gauged wire for this. The thinner the gauge, the better, okay? All right, so let's look at our component. And what I see with this component is a ton of opportunity, right? There's so much. I'm going to point with my pliers instead of my fingers here. We have all of the open circles around this outer edge, which is perfect for taking a jump ring, right? And hanging dangles from, which of course we are going to do because I love movement and jewelry. But I also see opportunities here where we can use our 26 gauge wire and essentially sew onto the top surface of our component some of those smaller beads that I showed you. Now we're only going to do one layer of those beads right in this area here, but you'd have an opportunity to cover up the entire filigree if you want to with more beads, right? And more of that wire. The same can be said for the alternative pendant or the alternative component as well, right? You have several layers of openings here. Looks like 2 layers plus the inner circle and the outer edge. So you can bead wrap, or you can wire wrap beads to the outside, onto the surface, and then also to the inner surface of your circle here, or the inner edge of your circle. So tons of opportunities for personalizing, which I think is super cool. And what's also cool is that a lot of the components that you get, there's more than one. Like this one has 2 of the large and 2 of the small. So you can make earrings and a great big pendant. With ours, we're going to be making a pendant, and then we're going to make the matching earrings. So you've got a whole set of jewelry. If you're looking forward to gift giving, if you've got last minute gifts that you need to create, or if you just want to make yourself a set, this is a great way to do it. All right. So we're going to need about 12 inches of that 26 gauge wire. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my wire piece here and get it ready to go. And I want to show you the pattern before we get started, because I don't want you to get hung up on this part. I feel like this part can cause a lot of frustration, and I really want this to be as simple as possible. So with this brass colored one, it has the wire wrapped around it. You can see in the places where we're going to put the beads, but there are no beads here. And the reason that I went ahead and did this was to show you kind of the path of the wire. So we're going to anchor our wire right here in this area where that first kind of opening happens in this layer, not the circles, but in that next layer up, an opening is right in here. We're going to anchor our wire. And then basically we're just doing this kind of lassoing motion around, looping through the circles and through the openings of the filigree. The reason that I want you to see this though, and I know it's kind of hard to see because it is such tiny wire, but the reason I want you to see this is because it doesn't measure up to do through the bottom and through the top, through the bottom and through the top. sometimes you're going to have to go through the same little filigree section, like right in here. You're going to have to go through that one twice. You're going to go through the bottom loop once, but this filigree section, because it is a crescent, you may have to pass through it more than once with your wire. I don't want you to get hung up on those little details. Okay. I don't want you to get frustrated about that part. I'm just going to make it as uniform as possible. And if I have to pass through one of the little filigree sections more than once with my wire, I'm okay with that. Okay. So don't be too hard on yourself. All right, so let's get started, and we can refer to this later if we need to. So take your piece of wire, and we're going to start. See that little filigree section right here? That's where we want to anchor our wire. So I'm going to take my wire and I'm going to thread it through the adjacent circle that's just right underneath it. And I'm going to give myself a little bit of a tail here, and I'm coming through the back. I'm going to come up through that next section up, that opening there with my tail. Okay, and I'm going to use my pliers because that makes life so much easier. Okay, and I'm going to wire wrap through that, through those two little openings about 2 times. So I'm just passing through that same, those 2 same little sections to anchor my wire with about 2 wire wraps. Okay, so pulling up from the back, and then I'm just sticking it back down through the back, through the circle. Okay, and I'm just going to pull that to the back. All right, so now you can see I've wire wrapped, anchored my wire with 2 wraps right through there, right? The long end of my wire is coming out through the front of the component through this bottom loop right here. It is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's the 7th circle down from the top. Okay. And now we're in position to add a bead to this. And that bead is actually going to sit on the surface of this component. So I'm going to take the tail end of my wire. I'm going to pick up a bead, and I'm going to drop that down and let it land right on the surface of our component. Now I want to work at an angle as much as possible. So that filigree opening right here, that's where I'm going to thread my wire through. So we're always kind of working in an angle with our wire. Essentially, it's just sewing, you guys. We're just going through the front and out the back. Now the 26 gauge wire here in the beginning, because we have such a long piece, it's going to be a little tricky. So you got to make sure that you don't get any big kinks in it as you start to pull it down and close that circle up. You just want to be sure there are no bends or creases in that wire as you pull it through. Whoops, I actually went through the wrong part of that. But I can easily pull it out and stick it back through where it needs to go, right? And then pull it down, and that's going to snug that bead right up on the surface of that component, right? Coming through the back. But now I need to come back up through the front. I want to come up through the front in the next free circle on the bottom, which is just right here next to the bead. Okay. Pull out all the slack of the wire. Again, make sure that you don't have any creases or bends. Pull that through. Okay. And now we're ready to add another bead. So I'm going to pick up a bead. Whoops. Drop it down. Let it lay across the top of the component, right? And then go down through whatever opening is closest to that bead, right? That's why I say it doesn't really matter. Don't think that it has to be exactly lined up with the hole underneath. That's not how this is going to work. For one thing, nobody's really going to notice any of the wire wrap once you've done it. The wire wrap is hidden up against the component, and the beads kind of block it. So it doesn't really matter as long as it's attached and your beads are lining up nice and straight. Don't worry about where that wire is going or coming. As long as it is attached in some shape, that's all that really matters. So I'm going to come up through the next open loop on the bottom from the back. Okay. And now I'm ready to add another bead. Drop that down, and we're going to go through on the top. Okay, so we're just lining up our beads, and then we're coming through the hole on the bottom from the back to the front. Dropping a bead down and then going through the front with our wire. Okay. Again, coming up through the next circle on the bottom. Add a bead. Drop it down, go through the front of the component. Up through the next hole on the bottom. Okay, pick up another bead, drop it down, go through, oops, go through the front to the back. Okay, and the next hole on the bottom. So we're just working our way across, and you can see those beads are lining up nicely. It doesn't really matter where my wire is going, as long as I'm always kind of working in an angle with my wire. Those beads are going to sit exactly where you want them to sit. And if they don't, you can line them up with your fingers. You don't have to pull it tight and commit to the placement of that bead until you've got it sitting exactly where you want it to go. And you can notice that wire, see how these two wires are sharing that same opening in the front of the component? It doesn't matter when you look at it this direction. You don't even see it when you're looking at it from the front. So nobody's going to notice those little things. Don't get hung up on those little details like that. As long as your beads are secure, that's the most important part, right? So I'm going up through the next. This adds a little bit of visual interest. If you don't want to use black, you can use a color here. It's going to add a nice little layer of color, but it definitely adds extra dimension to your piece, this pre-made component, just by adding something to the surface. It doesn't always have to be the outer edges that get all of the attention, right? You can always add things to the top. You can even use glue if you want to. I prefer wire, but if you wanted to glue things to this component, if you wanted to glue rhinestones to it, flat backs, anything you wanted to, you absolutely can do that. So don't dismiss these pre-made components as, you know, everybody will have the same piece of jewelry. No, you use it as an opportunity to play around and come up with new things to personalize, right? Okay, so got just a couple more to go. I have one bead here that doesn't particularly want to behave, and it's because you can see the wire is loose on the back. Do you see that, where that little bump of wire? So it's making that bead right here kind of loose. So I'm gonna take my wire out. I'm gonna take this bead off, and I'm gonna tighten that wire up so that sits exactly where I want it to. That's the good thing about it is that you're not using bead weaving thread. So you haven't tied any knots. You haven't committed just yet. The wire can very easily be taken out and put back in. Okay. So coming up through the front again. Add a bead, drop that down, go through the front. Okay. Come in. We're going to add one more bead. Oops. Drop that down. And then through the front. Now that we've added all of the beads, right? Now we need to secure our wire, essentially just anchoring it on the other side. So I'm just going to go from the back to the front with the rest of my wire, just 1 or 2 times, just like we did when we very first got started. Just doing it without beads and pretty much in the exact same spot. If it gets kinked up on you, just use your pliers. See how I got a kink in the wire here. Fortunately though, I'm right at the end, so you're not going to notice it. Go through up through the front and down through the back one more time, and then I'm going to trim off the excess wire, and we can move on to the next step. Okay, through there. That last pass is a little tight, right? Because your wire's already going through there a couple of times. All right, so we have all of our beads attached to the surface. We're going to come back here to the back. We're going to trim off our wire, and we're going to trim off our tail where we had started here at the beginning. Everything is nice and secure, and I don't have to worry. Now I'm ready to add even more to this. So I'm going to move all my scraps out of the way here, and we are going to add some dangles to this as well. Now, some of these I've already done just to kind of save time, but we are going to do some of these together. So I've just taken some of these little rondelles. We're going to put them on head pins, and we are going to create wrapped loops with them. I've got 5 here. Let's do 5 more. We'll do, actually there's 6. We'll do 5 of them together. And then we're going to attach those with jump rings around the outer edge, just to add an extra layer of movement to our piece. All right, so and set the ones that are already done to the side, and we are going to focus on these. So I'm going to take a head pin, and we're going to take one of our rondelles. We're going to drop that down onto a head pin. Now these are a little bit bigger. These were the ones that came off of the card here. Okay, so this was like the second to the smallest size of the 4. And I'm going to come in with my chain nose pliers. I'm going to grab that wire right where it is exiting the bead, and I'm going to bend that wire over the top of those pliers. That way, when I take the pliers away, there is room in here. I don't have to pre-measure. The tool did all the measuring for me. I'm going to do wire wraps in that space between the top of the bead and the bend. But first, we've got to create a loop. So we're going to come in with our round nose pliers, grabbing that wire, and we're going to take the wire up and over the top barrel of the pliers, just like so. Now we don't have a loop yet, right? We have the beginnings of a loop, but it's not closed. And in order to close it, we've got to get this wire over here to the other side. I can't do that with the bottom barrel of the pliers in the way. So I'm just going to rotate the pliers in my hand, and then I can guide the wire over to the other side, and that's going to close up our loop. Okay, I'm going to switch hands, and then I'm going to wire wrap in the space between the loop that we just created and the top of the bead. So I've got room for about 3 wire wraps. Okay, I'm going to come in with my cutter tool and trim off the excess. Trim as close as you can, and if you can't get super, super close, use your pliers and just kind of tuck that end, right? All right, we're going to do a couple more of these. Doesn't hurt to see that more than once, particularly if you are not super comfortable in your wire wrapped loops. It's always good to see them a couple of times. So same steps, rondelle onto a head pin, bending the wire over the top of the pliers, coming in with the round nose pliers. We're going up and over We're going to rotate the pliers, making that bottom barrel the top barrel so that we can take the wire over to close our loop, switch hands, and then wire wrap about 3 times. You don't want to overdo it with your wire wraps. 3 times is all I have space for. Don't try to push it and add another wrap in there, because if you do, you risk cracking the top of your bead. They're glass, remember, so you've got to be gentle with them. Always gentle, and then always gentle when you come in with your cutter tool too, because that's another opportunity where you can crack the top of your bead. So you always just want to be mindful of where your tools are against your bead surfaces, whether it's a glass bead or a gemstone or a crystal. It's true for all of those. Just be careful. Okay. Next one, bending the wire. Okay. Coming in with our round nose pliers, up and over, rotate, and take the wire over to the other side. We've got 2 more of these to go. Okay, I'm going to come in and cut off. All right, 2 more, and then we will move on. So this project actually goes by pretty quickly. The sewing of the beads with the wire onto the component really is the part that takes the longest amount of time. The rest of this is fairly straightforward, either with wrapped loops or simple loops. And we are going to do a couple of simple loops here in just a few minutes. I prefer a wrapped loop just because my simple loops are never as uniform as my wrapped loops, but you can always, if you prefer simple loops, you can always use a simple loop where I have done a wrapped loop with this project. Completely up to you. Okay, last one. All right, so we have all of these ready. Now we want to place these in the loops that are on our component. Now, some of those loops are going to be a little hard to get to because they're underneath these beads, but you can still access them. Just want to be super careful, but you're going to be able to slide a jump ring in there easy. So we're going to take our jump rings. I need to dump out my stuff here so I can actually get to my jump rings. We are going to use our jump rings as our attachment. Now, if you wanted to wire wrap these or do your simple loops and attach them directly to the component, you absolutely can. I prefer to use jump rings here just because it gives a little bit of extra room between our beads and the component, making them kind of have enough room to swing around, and they're not quite as crowded, okay? But again, it's totally up to you. That's your preference, right? For this kind of thing. And if you wanted to use 4mm jump rings instead of 6, you can do that as well, or bigger, whichever. All right, so I'm going to take a jump ring between 2 pairs of pliers, and I'm just going to twist to open. Okay, I'm going to thread on one of our beads with the wrapped loop, and I'm going to attach these. I'm actually going to come back a little bit here. So I'm going to count down 1, 2, 3, 4, and on that 5th loop, I'm going to add one of our beads. So I'm not starting where we have sewn on our beads. I'm starting a little bit away or a little bit further up, right? And of course, if we need more beads, we can always do some more wrapped loops if we need to, but I'm going to fill in every other space. So a jump ring through. So I've skipped a loop. Put this jump ring through the next loop and close that back. So there's going to be some even spacing here. So you can see, oops, that jump ring's not closed very well. Always want to make sure you close them nicely. Okay, so I've skipped a loop here between my beads. And again, that's so that nothing is crowded. right? We want to be sure that these beads have a nice little area to hang in. Okay, so I'm going to open another jump ring. I'm going to skip a loop, go through the next, add our bead, and then close that back. I'm just going to work my way around the edge of the component. Skipping a loop, going into the next one. And you can see how nicely those are going to hang. If you put them in every single one, they're just a little too crowded. It's just too many beads. Okay, skip a loop, go into the next one. Close your jump ring back. Skip a loop. Okay. Almost done with this part. Skip a loop, go into the next. I may have more of the wire wrap beads than we need, but we'll see. I may have one too many, I'm not sure. Okay, skipping a loop, going into the next one. And we're gonna do one more. So I had one extra, that's all right. Okay, opening. And we're gonna skip, go into this one. So we have filled in. Now you could fill up the entire component, right? You can use all of those openings if you want to add beads, but every other one makes them hang nicely, at least with this size bead. Now you could use every single hole if you wanted to, if you're going to use a smaller bead, or maybe if you were going to kind of have them tiered so that they're not all hanging at the same kind of level, that will make a difference as well. A lot of different ways that you can use every single hole of your component if you want to, just by making some little adjustments like that. Okay, so now we want to turn this into a pendant, right? Because so far all we have is just this really cool component, but we don't have any way to attach it to anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a little decorative area, a little triangle here where we can hang this from a piece of chain. So this guy right here is going to be in the center. I'm just going to lay it out for you and then we're going to execute. Okay. So then I'm going to take some more of our beads here. I'm going to take, let's see. I'm going to take some of our different sizes of rondelles. Okay. And put those out like this. So we're doing a small one, a larger one, and then a small one. And we're going to put those on eye pins. And we're going to add some of these really cool little bead caps to this too, just to kind of bring the metal from the bottom up into the metal, or up into the top of the beaded area. It kind of just gives everything a little bit more balance. And then I, of course, want something to hang here in the center. So I'm going to build up another little section to hang, and we'll use one of these really cool teardrops. Okay, so I know that that doesn't look like much at the beginning here, but you just trust me. We're gonna make this all work, right? So the first thing we want to do is we want to kind of put all of this together in the way that we need it to be put together. So we're gonna do that with our eye pins and our head pins, and then we'll connect it. Okay, so we're gonna start in the middle. And in the middle here, we have these 3 beads. They need to go onto an eye pin. So I'm going to thread those on. And this is where our simple loops are going to come in. Okay, so we're just going to build all the little pieces and then we'll connect everything. So I have a small bead. That's one of these little guys, a little bit larger of a bead, and then another small bead. We are going to create a simple loop here instead of a wrapped loop. So now when I grab with my chain nose pliers, I'm going to bend the wire right where it is exiting the bead. I'm not bending it over the top of the pliers. Don't need any space here because I'm not doing any wire wraps. I'm going to come in with my cutter and I'm going to trim off, and I'm going to leave myself about 1/4 of an inch of wire. And I just kind of eyeball it. Okay. Trim that. We've left this little bit of wire. We're going to come in with our round nose pliers, and we're going to grab that at the tip, and we're going to roll back towards our hand and towards our beads and close that up to create our simple loop. Okay. So that goes there, and we're going to hang this from it. So we're going to need to put this guy onto a head pin. So we're going to thread our teardrop onto a head pin, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do just a simple loop here because our wrap loops, the wraps create a little bit of extra length in things. That's why I've decided to leave out the wraps and just do the loops. So I'm bending the wire right where it is exiting our bead. Coming in with our cutter tool again, I'm going to trim, leave ourselves about 1/4 of an inch of wire, and then come in with the round nose pliers to roll back to close up that loop. Okay. Once we have that loop ready, we're ready to connect the two pieces together. So I'm going to, I know I just created this loop. Now I'm going to open it, but I'm going to open it like I would a jump ring. So I'm just going to twist it open, right? I'm not going to pull it apart because I'll never get that nice round shape back. I'm going to thread on the loop from the previous little beaded section that we made. And then I'm going to use my pliers to close that back. Okay. So that section is ready to be attached. Now we're going to build these two outer sections. So these are actually going to attach to the back of our component. See how the back of our component has these two little loops on the back? They're hidden when you look at it from the front. That's where we're actually going to connect these. And I'm going to connect them first. So before I thread any beads on, I'm going to take an eye pin. I'm going to walk it open. I'm going to attach it. To open it up a little bit more, I'm going to attach it to our loop back here. Maybe I didn't get it open quite big enough. I'm starting to bend my eye pin here. Be careful. So you just want to hook that on. Oh my goodness, doesn't want to behave, does it? And then we're going to close that back. It's kind of tricky since it's on the back. Just make sure you get a good closure on that. Okay. Then I'm going to do the same thing over here on the other side. I'm just going to go ahead and attach an eye pin to it before we go any further. Okay. So just attach, close it back with your pliers. All right. Now we're ready to add our beads to this. Okay. So I'm going to thread on a small rondelle, one of our little bead caps, a larger rondelle, another bead cap, and a small rondelle. Okay. And I'm going to do just a simple loop on the top. So chain nose pliers, bend right over the top of that bead, cutter tool, leave yourself about 1/4 of an inch of wire. Use your round nose pliers to close your loop. And we're going to repeat that over here on the other one. Small rondelle, bead cap, larger rondelle, bead cap, and a smaller rondelle. Okay, and again, just a simple loop. Okay, so just bend the wire, trim, and then round nose pliers to create your loop. All right, now what we need to do is we need to attach all of these loops to this guy. I know that seems like that might be a challenge, but I promise there's enough room for all of them. Let's start with the center one. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in with our chain nose pliers. We're just going to take that top loop and we're going to open it with a twist. We're going to thread it on and we're going to close it back. All right. Now the other two are a little bit more tricky just because of the the fact that there's already something hanging from this and they need to go on in a certain order. So I'm going to open the loop on this one, right? And thread that next to the other one. Just make sure that the center piece here is definitely in the center. Now the next one's going to go on the other side of this, right? Just don't want to accidentally put it on there in the wrong place. Okay, so open up the wrapped loop. And then you may have to kind of wiggle this around. This is the hardest one to attach. Let's see if I can do this with my pliers instead of my fingers, right? Attach that loop. It will work, I promise. It's just tricky because we're kind of holding everything all together or bringing this. Oh goodness. All right, now I've got it. Once I have it hooked, it wants to sneak away. It wants to just sneak right out of there. It will attach, just be patient. It's just tricky. Like I said, there's just a lot going on. And I'm kind of at a disadvantage here because I'm a little bit further away from what, oh, and you can't even see what I'm doing. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit further away from the work. All right. You know what? Let's take this middle one off. We'll put it back after we attach this one. Maybe that'll help. But they do all fit. It's just a matter of getting it on there. That was much easier. Now we'll attach that center one. So lesson learned, right? We need to attach the center piece last. Yeah, you kind of have to talk them into it, right? All right, now just make sure you get this guy in the center and he attaches much more easily this time. You can use jump rings here if you want to, but I caution with the jump rings because it adds more length and you may end up with it being a little bit further away from your component than you initially wanted. So this part is ready, right? All we have to do now is just decide what we want to hang this from. And because this bell bead is nice and large, we can thread this to literally anything. You can put this on ribbon, you can put it on chain, you can put it on leather. I'm going to use just a simple piece of chain. And I'm just going to thread that through there and let the pendant part be the star, right? Just a simple chain. All you need to do is just add your hardware to the back of this, right? And we can do that super quick. It's just 2 jump rings and a lobster clasp. So you can absolutely use a fancy clasp if you want to. I'm just trying to keep it kind of simple here. So I'm just going to open a jump ring, attach it to the last link of my chain. I'm going to attach my lobster clasp to one of those. And then as soon as we're done with this, I'm going to just make a really quick pair of earrings. Just simple earrings to match this so that we have a full set. And the earrings are very, very easy. We're just going to stack a couple of beads and we will be done. So our necklace part is complete. Let me show you the earrings to go with this. So just kind of more of the same. You can do this in any way you want to. It's just a simple loop and a head pin, right? It doesn't have to be super hard. Doesn't have to be super complicated. Beautiful jewelry does not have to be a representation of every single skill you've ever learned, right? Sometimes just stacking some beautiful beads and putting an ear wire on them is all you need. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to repeat what we have right here on another eye pin, or I'm sorry, a head pin. So I'm going to take my head pin. I'm going to thread on another one of those beautiful drops. Some of the bead caps that we used in our pendant. Okay. I'm going to put on one of our small beads here. Actually, this small bead. Okay. I'm going to do another bead cap. And this time the bead caps are going in the opposite direction of the ones that are on the pendant, right? So these are kind of facing outwards, whereas the ones on the pendant were facing inwards. I'm going to thread on another rondelle just to fill in on that bead cap, and then one more small bead, and we're going to do just a simple loop. You can even make these mismatched earrings if you wanted to and kind of reconfigure them. A lot of options, just super, super simple, but still makes beautiful jewelry. This is a great holiday piece if you need to wear something out or to give as a gift. This would be great for New Year's. Okay, just bent that wire. Again, I'm going to come in, trim off, leave myself about 1/4 of an inch of wire. I'm going to make a simple loop, rolling that wire back to close up my loop. And now all I need to do is add an ear wire. And that's it. That's it. That's how easy it is to create a matching piece. So you want to spend a little bit more time on your pendant, you can. And then, you know, just use your leftover beads to create another pair of earrings or a bracelet to go with it. With these cards of the beads that come in the different sizes where you have so many of them, you can, you know, you can make a whole nother necklace if you wanted to. A lot of opportunity for more pieces to go with just this one. Do a bracelet, do a couple of pairs of earrings if you wanted to, and give it away as an entire set, or you can use it, you know, in your craft booth or on your website as a whole little line, but it doesn't have to be super hard. So, all right, I'm going to turn you around and I'm going to put this necklace on a bust so that you can see what it looks like hanging. And then I'm going to let you guys go. So happy that you have decided to let me be a part of your afternoon. I appreciate it so, so much. I hope you have enjoyed today's project. And I hope that the next time that you go shopping for beads and beady goodness, that you look at the pre-made components in a whole new way, because you can create a really cool one-of-a-kind piece, right? By just adding some extra beads to the surface, not just dangling things from it, right? And then you've got your cute little earrings to match and you've got yourself a full set, right? It would be so pretty in different colors, and you definitely don't have, there's no limit of colors when it comes to shopping for beads at Michael's. So you definitely could do this in blue or green or anything else that you wanted to. All right, guys, my tripod is a little out of control here. I'm starting to move without me. I apologize for that. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. I hope that you have enjoyed this class. I look forward to being with you guys again soon for another fun class here at Michael's. Thanks, guys. Have a great afternoon. Bye.